Okay, Judy. So this is the new part. I guess this would be, yeah, it's just finishing what you've done now of the verse. Um, and it's this you finished off on the second line of the second page, and from that melody we're going to go back into the arpeggio we were doing from the intro. Just a little different, not only a different grouping of chords, meaning what order they're in, but a couple of new chords as well. But they're going to use the same information you already know from what you did in the intro. So just giving you, we're going to start off on the next to last measure on the second page, and you're ending it. You've already done this. You went from the okay, that was that fresh from the world, and you're going to go P and M, and then you're going to land on a C. Okay, we didn't really talk about that C last time. I want you to go ahead and put a C chord down on that note, okay? Because you're going to end up with this. Okay, this is going to be the trickiest part, I think, for you, is that you need to be able to land on the note C and then play the arpeggio from the rest of the way that you were doing it in the intro. So let's think about what you're doing in the intro. In the intro, when you had that C, you just put the note C down, and you were going on the top three strings. P, I, M, I, P, I. Let me make this so you can see me a little better. P, I, M, I, P, I. Well, now you got to hit the C in the beginning, that low C. It's the only thing that's different. P. Everything else is exactly the same. I, M, I, P, I. It's just that one note in the beginning. Instead of going from the G, P, I, M, I, P, I, that note C down low is going to play first. P, everything else continues the same way. I, M, I, P, I. I'd practice that by itself. Put the C chord down. P, I, M, I, P, I. P, I, M, I, P, I. That is the only thing that's different. Now, to be honest with you, the trick is going to be the transition from the... I made it sound easy, but it's not. That's going to be a weird thing, going fresh from the world and going into this next part. I'm kind of okay with you separating them right now. Let's just keep them a little separate. If you need to, and you go fresh, what am I doing? Fresh from the world. Go ahead and put the C chord down and tap that C, and let that be a thing on its own. Okay, and then when you're worrying about this next part now for this week, or whenever you do this, put the C chord down, and when you're working on it by itself, we'll start from that note C and continue from there, if that makes sense. So that you're doing the C as it's shared on both parts. It's the end of the phrase fresh from the world, but it's also the beginning of this next thing. Okay, all that to say, the rest of it's actually pretty familiar for you. There's an F chord next, and in the arpeggio, we did this on the intro. So you put that D major shape so that your what am I talking about? My ring finger is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and you have that P, I, M, I, P, I, because you're on the F chord. Okay, so we're now on the 3rd line, first measure, F chord, P, I, M, I, P, I. Then it goes up to the G. All right, we know that if we bring that up 2 frets, we're on G now. Okay, so we're just letting our ring finger go along the 2nd string and play that root. It was on the F, G. Okay, next note is E major. All right, so E on that 2nd string is right here on the 5th fret. Okay, we can figure that out by going B, C, D, E. Or we already knew where F was. Just back it up one. Okay, so you put that chord down and P, I, M, I there. Okay, so those 3 chords in a row are F, G, E. You can tell, I can hear, I think you can too. You're going to be able to hear that something interesting is about to happen. Going from that C chord in the beginning, put the C chord down. That was the last measure on the 2nd line. Play the note C with your thumb, and continue. I, M, I, P, I. Go to the F, G, E. Okay, now we had 2 shapes when we were working on this. Remember we were working on this bass, 3 shapes really. It was a D major shape down here, okay, a D minor shape down here, and a D7 shape, right? Okay, so on the fourth measure of the third line, we have an A minor chord. We need to use this D minor shape, but put that third finger where the note A is, okay? Remember we were working on B minor in the beginning? Okay, if you know where B is, 12th fret, open is B, 12th fret is B. And just back it up 2 frets. There is your A. Okay, so the same thing you were doing up here with that B minor shape, sorry, B minor chord, D minor shape. Just back it up 2 frets. Okay, so the trick here is to go from what we just did, here's a C chord, play the note C, I, M, I, P, I, go to the F, ring finger on the 6th fret, P, I, M, I, P, I. Go to the G, ring finger on the 8th fret, P, I, M, I, P, I. E now, ring finger on the 5th fret, P, I, M, I, P, I. Go to the minor shape and bring it to the 10th fret. Okay, so you'd work on that a couple of times. Alright, now, we're on the A minor shape. This is now, if you can see above it, there's that number 1. That's because the first time you do this, you're going to play the A minor now, then the G, then the C, and then this G7 we do. And then you go back and repeat everything we did of that verse before. Morning has broken. Alright, so we're just going to, you don't have to think about anything right now except for just going measure to measure to measure the way we have. Meaning, even though there's a, whoa, hard to do like this. Even though there's a 1 here, we're just going to play through it. Okay, we don't have to worry about anything that's going on in the second section yet. Okay, so you now went the C chord, F chord, G chord, E chord, A minor. Now you got the G chord again. That was easy. You just put your ring finger on the 8th fret, just like you've done before. Play the P, I, M, I there. Okay, and then you know where this is going. It says to do a C now. This is just like in the intro. Just drag that down, put your first finger on the 1st fret, and go P, I, M, I, P, I, just like you did in the intro. It's Emmylou rubbing her paws on the door. And the last thing is just a long held chord. It's a G7 sus4. Now, suspended sus4 means that it's a G7 chord with a C in it. I don't want that because of the way we're going to do this. I just want you to play a G7 chord. And all you have to do, you just left off with this P-I-M-I on C down low. You take your first finger, put it on the note F. I have to open that door. Put it on the note F, and then just strum from the 4th string down. Just like that. So you went from the C chord before, which is the last line on that page. Isn't that cool? That's your G7 sus4. I took out the sus4, it's just a G7 chord. It's not exactly the same notes that you see there, so I'm changing it a little bit. You just have to know this is the chord you're going to play. I'll mark that on your PDF, okay? So those notes that are written down in the chord that are literally the actual music notation notes are not exactly the same because they're putting it, they're making the chord a little different, okay? So let me open this door for her. Come in, weirdo. Okay. So putting it all together, I'm gonna just go from the world. I'm not gonna go fresh from the world. I'm just gonna go world, okay? Because I don't want you to really worry about that transition right now. We'll work on that later, okay? So you can put the C chord down, play the note C with your thumb, and then finish with the I, M, I, P, I. That's his thumb. And the next line, go to the F, third ring finger on the 6th fret, P, I, M, I, P, I. Move it up 2 frets, ring finger on the 8th fret for a G chord, P, I, M, I, P, I. Take your ring finger and move it down to the 5th fret for an E chord, P, I, M, I, P, I. This is when you play the minor shape on the note A. The note A is on the 10th fret of the 2nd string, but with the minor shape, looks like this. P, I, M, I, P, I. Best way to think about that is it's just like that B minor shape, but back it up 2 frets. P, I, M, I, P, I. Then you're going to go to your G shape. Sorry, your major shape and go to the note G. Ring fingers on the 8th fret again. P, I, M, I, P, I. Go down to C now, just like you did in the intro. First finger just goes here. P, I, M, I, P, I. and then a long held G7 chord. First finger goes to the note F and strummed down from the 4th string down. Okay, here it is without me talking. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.